everybody. We begin as Americans. We are stunned tonight trying to cope and come to grips with the worst acts of terrorism in American history and trying to figure out what to tell our children and how to go forward. At this late hour, there are no firm casualty figures, but suffice to say there are thousands of people injured, perhaps dead. Right now, New York City police are investigating at least one truck which may be filled with explosives beneath the George Washington Bridge. We're going to talk to a Connecticut man about that in just a matter of a couple of moments. Let's begin tonight with a recap of the terrible events that have transpired throughout the day here. The scene from the very start was surreal. Two commercial airliners hijacked and flown into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. You can see this incredible video. That was followed by another commercial plane which was also hijacked, crashing into the Pentagon. Then there was a fourth incident in which another hijacked commercial jet crashes near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The pilot of that plane may have purposely taken the jet into the ground to avoid blowing up another national landmark. We have coverage all over our state tonight and, of course, in the city of New York. We start tonight with Aaron Cox in Stamford. Aaron?
Well, Ann, there are fewer commuters getting off the train at this hour, but their faces look very similar to those who came back from New York this afternoon. The faces show shock, a little bit of fear, and understandably some real fatigue. Governor Rowland speaking, and we carried it live on News Channel 8 about within the hour from here at the Stamford train station. And he says while the state made the right choice today in closing down state office buildings, the governor says tomorrow Connecticut must put on a brave face and prepare to accept the possibility of casualties.
And so people should go back to work tomorrow. They should go to the schools. They should try in every way they can to resume normal activities, and perhaps pausing throughout the day to pray for those that have been lost.
Nighttime, and the commuters keep returning, relieved and shaken by what they have seen.
You can still see the smoke. It just looks like a big cloud.
Husbands relieved to return safely.
I'm glad to be here.
Mothers hugging daughters.
I'm just happy to be home.
It's good to have her back.
Commuters dazed, confused, some still in shock. Many with stories of a close call.
A lot of my colleagues might have been underneath that stuff walking to work. You know, that's prime commuting time. That's what I'm really concerned about. I could have been there had it been 5 minutes later. It's scary.
Governor Rowland says Connecticut's crews are really poised to get into action tomorrow to help in those search and rescue efforts in the rubble surrounding the Twin Towers in New York City. Ann and Keith, we have been here all day, and all day we have heard stories. We have seen tears. We have even seen some folks in torn clothing as they were able to get out of New York City. But the most inspiring story came just a few minutes ago from a woman who began her day in Washington, D.C. She got through that attack, then she went to New York City, and she got through that attack zone and finally made it back to Stamford, Connecticut. A mother here tonight, so glad to see her two young sons. Back to you.
Amazing stories all day.
All right, Aaron, thank you. As we've seen and noted throughout the day, the nation's airports were shut down in the wake of these two terrible attacks on the World Trade Centers.
The first time in U.S. history that no planes are flying in this country. Let's go live now to Bradley and Chris Velarde. Chris?
Well, guys, when you look up into the night sky tonight, it's a clear night, but you don't see any red or white blinking lights. It's something we've all grown accustomed to, but there are no planes flying anyway. Here at Bradley, no planes coming in, no planes coming out. It is eerily quiet. Of course, that means the terminal building is very dark tonight. There are very few people inside except for maybe a few airport and airline employees. And outside, state troopers are lined up around the perimeter of the terminal building. Today's attack has been described as many as a wake-up call, that the threat of terrorism is real. But a former security checkpoint supervisor who worked here at Bradley says it was his worst fears realized. It was only a matter of time.
Me, I won't fly. I'm very scared of flying.
Because of what you know?
Yes. Yes.
Brian Cuny knows security at airports can be beaten. As a former security checkpoint supervisor at Bradley, Cuny used to test employees and hand out too many failing grades. He says too often employees are poorly paid and poorly trained.
The people that they hire, and this is going to affect the tickets, the price, and everything else, but they have to hire people more qualified, ex-police officers, correctional officers, firemen.
And Cuny says today's tragedy must lead to changes.
It takes away our freedom, little by little. Something like this is very, very big.
CUNY says during those tests he conducted, he was able to sneak in everything from hand grenades to handguns. He says it was just frightening what he was able to get through the security checkpoints at the airport. Now, are all security guards unqualified? Absolutely not. But he says some are, and any is too many. Now, the plan is for the airport to open again tomorrow, but that isn't up to anybody here at Bradley. That, of course, is up to the FAA. Again, the plan is tomorrow at noon, but we'll have to wait and see. Guys, back to you.
We will,
All right,
Chris.
Chris, thank you.